Hi there, Alfonso. So you've written your first set of essays for us. Well done. Let's take a look at what you said here today. Okay, the first one is about schools. Should they be more entertaining or should they merely educate? Let's see what you wrote. This essay will discuss whether schools have to be more entertaining or not, using examples to demonstrate points and support arguments. Okay, well, it's a little Spartan. It's a little too short, a little too brief. So you really needed to do a little more here. You needed to... And this is part of the template. You had to essentially develop the template a little bit. So something to the extent of, in both the developing and developed world, there is much debate nowadays regarding the role of school. While there are many who believe that school's function is merely to educate, others believe that this is better accomplished with entertaining methods. I support the latter view in that children learn better and more effectively and retain more information when they are entertained. Okay, that's how you do an introduction. Now, okay, you might not write it exactly like that, but that's the kind of information you need to include, okay? All right, and also, don't forget that when it asks you point blank your opinion, you really need to state it. The best place to do that is right there in your introduction. Otherwise, how is it going to be clear throughout the response? If you look at the band descriptors, the band descriptors tell us that your position needs to be clear throughout the response. So this is how to do it most effectively. Let's look at your body paragraphs. Firstly, schools that are still teaching in the out-of-style model, let's change that. That are in the old-fashioned way, or using an old-fashioned model, or an out-of-style model. Better ways to say this. So firstly, schools that are still teaching in an out-of-fashion model, just pretending to educate, focusing on the academic skills, are missing a really important opportunity. This is largely because they do not teach beyond knowledge, singular, it's uncountable, missing the opportunity to educate about the 21st century skills. No, get rid of the apostrophe S and add an S here. Skills, students, S, must have, such as emotional intelligence, creativity, or failure management. Interesting. A study by the Finnish government, or the government of Finland would have been okay, shows that after changing ing, the old educational method, into the current one, not only have, you need to use inversion here, not only have rates of students' dissatisfaction halved, but also students' performance rose, not raised, by 0.8 points on average. Therefore, schools should institute new education models to entertain while educating beyond academic skills. Okay. Now, here's the thing I want to say. I don't mind the stuff about Finland, but what you're saying here about emotional intelligence, creativity, and failure management, how does that connect with the idea of school being entertaining? Okay, so what you're talking about really is just skills. So I want you to bring back this idea of school and classes being entertaining, and not just, well, they have to teach things beyond just maths and physics and chemistry. Okay, so be careful. While what you wrote is lovely, it has to incorporate this. Absolutely. All right, let's move on. Secondly, technology can be surprisingly a powerful tool in order to engage students, S, of all ages, while teaching them on the responsible use of technology, singular. This is due to the fact that interactive screens let students take control of learning themselves and also give them instant access, not instantly, to up-to-date information. Recent studies from IBM, I don't know what I just said, showed that students that use new technologies among school. All right, let's look at that sentence again because it really confused me. Recent studies from IBM showed that students that use new technologies in school use electronic devices 1/3 less of the time in their leisure time after school, and they will be 17% less likely to suffer an addiction in the future. Okay, for instance, using technologies within class and educate... Therefore, introducing technologies within class and educating on their use will also benefit, no capital B, the students in their future, no S. To conclude from the examples and arguments given, I firmly believe that a more entertaining education should be necessary, not should be necessary, but should be included in every school because of its benefits. Okay, so I want to talk about this a little bit. All right, you know what? I mean, you talk about, I almost feel like you answered a different question. So, you know what? I feel like you answered based on your paragraphs here. I feel like you answered the question, schools should focus just on traditional educational subjects, or they should, or should they teach with new methods or new subjects, something like that. Because nowhere in your paragraphs did you say anything about entertainment. Okay, you talked about technology being a wonderful tool to help students take control of learning, and that's lovely. And you also talked about how it has a secondary benefit. And then here you talked about other skills that schools should be teaching, like emotional intelligence and so forth and so forth. But nowhere in your essay did you say anything about entertainment. Okay? How schools can be more entertaining, how these things entertain, and what sort of benefit that has. So without mentioning this aspect of entertainment, you've really got a problem here in terms of your task achievement. It's not going to be considered relevant. Okay, so please keep that in mind, and keep it in mind for your next essay that you have to really focus very closely on this. All right, let's take a look at the second essay here. This is doing the enjoyable activity with a child. Let's see what you said. Okay, so enjoyable activity, better skills, and creativity than just reading. Let's see what you said. This essay will discuss whether doing enjoyable activities can develop better skills and more creativity than reading. Careful, please don't copy exactly from the prompt. Look at this. So, can develop better skills and more creativity than reading. It's copied exactly from the essay. Okay, so let's avoid doing that. Let's try this again. Using examples to demonstrate points and support arguments. Hold on, let me try it again. This essay will discuss whether doing enjoyable activities can develop better skills and more creativity than reading. Using examples to demonstrate points and support arguments. I totally agree with the idea of doing enjoyable activities with a child for developing better skills and more creativity than reading does. Okay. This belonged there, okay? So take this part, and I will support my position using examples to demonstrate points and support arguments. So you've kind of mixed up the structure of the introduction that you've been learning in the template. So this is what you need to do. This sentence didn't belong here, or this section of the sentence didn't belong here. All right, let's move on. Firstly, reading is a well-known and here activity for developing creativity, and we agree with that. No. Get rid of that. We agree with that. However, there are also new trends that, all right, you could have said, yeah, just get rid of this. So reading is a well-known activity for developing creativity. However, there are also new trends that are even more effective in developing not only creative minds, but also other very useful skills. Recent research from Berkeley University of San Francisco indicates that children, we never write kids in IELTS, unless it's an informal letter. Children participating in team games, fomenting, I don't know why you're writing this word here, teamwork and learning can develop what we know as soft skills, such as verbal and written communication, leadership, or problem resolutions with others, which are tremendously important and will be required, throughout their lives. This was awkward here. Some grammar was strange. I'm not really sure what you're trying to say, but it needs to be revised. Let's look at your second paragraph. Secondly, curiosity and creative activities like designing, drawing, or crafting can develop better skills and more creativity than reading as well. For instance, a study by Harvard University, and LED, L-E-D, by Tony Wagner, doctorate from this university, it's a little too detailed, okay, stated that these activities, no capital here, these activities will give children, okay, because who's the them here you're talking about? Don't assume we still understand it's children. Give children abilities like spatial awareness, critical, AL. thinking, patience, or problem solving skills is what we call this, that will help them to be highly creative and ready to innovate in the 21st century. For these reasons, by fomenting the children's interest in these activities, they will develop a more powerful creativity. No A, and then just reading. Okay, so you use this word fomenting twice. I disagree with it. Take a look to see that you are using it correctly. It's my opinion that you're not using it correctly, so be careful. Let's move on. To conclude, comma, from the examples and arguments given, I firmly believe that doing an enjoyable activity with a child can develop better skills, more creativity in the reading. All right, that's fine, but really, again, it's exactly lifted from the prompt. Look, again, doing an enjoyable activity with a child can develop better skills, more. This, you know what the examiner is going to do? The examiner is going to take it, and he or she is going to remove these immediately from your word count. So try to use novel language. Try to use your own words to express this, okay? Now, for your first essay, it's fine, but do know that this is going to be a problem for you if you continue to do this, okay? Also, you could have written, as you found in the template, something kind of looking into the future rather than just a restatement of your opinion, which is fine. You have to do that in your conclusion. You also have to add something else, something like, just something to give the reader something to think about. So something like, in the future, with more awareness, parents will encourage their children to partake in these activities more than just reading. Okay, that's the kind of thing that you need to include. All right, so what you need to do now, Alfonso, is, number one, correct these essays based on my suggestions. All right, and then return them back to us. Also, you're going to create a file called your error correction list. You're going to write down all the mistakes that I pointed out to you, and then next to each mistake, what the corrected version is. Okay, this is a list that you're going to add to with each video correction you receive. Send that back to us as well. And then, of course, you're going to need to write another set of essays using all of the information and knowledge that you've been gaining throughout the course and through these corrections. So go ahead and get those started. Let's meet back here with your new essays. I'm looking forward to them. So good luck to you.